Hi, I'm Dan Wong, and I'm an associate professor at Columbia Business School, where I study social networks and innovation and how they affect business and society. I also teach the core strategy class for MBA students and an elective class on technology strategy. We are on lockdown here in New York City, and so that's why I'm coming to you from my office/bedroom, where I also have a whiteboard and where I also want to talk to you about two things. Number one, how the coronavirus pandemic is affecting our lives as teachers and educators at Columbia Business School. And number two, how the epidemic is affecting business, in particular, companies like Walmart and Amazon. So let's talk business first. There's never been a moment in history where it's been clear what the strategic importance of a company like Amazon is, in my opinion. While the US might lack the same type of government coordination capability as, say, other countries, at the same time, the US also has a concentration of industrial might and technological innovation that no other country really possesses in the same unique way. There's no better example of this, by the way, than a company like Amazon. In fact, companies like Amazon, and I would include Walmart here as well, are already strategically important to the United States, in part because this is how most of the country gets what they need. For example, Walmart is the largest employer in the United States outside of the US government. As well, 90% of Americans live within a 10-minute drive or walk of a Walmart. Likewise, we know Amazon primarily as an online retailer, an e-commerce company. So last year in 2019, about $280 billion came to Amazon in terms of revenues. About 50% of these revenues came from Amazon's e-commerce business. About 30% came from fees that it gets from third-party sellers that use Amazon as a marketplace. So the question is, well, where does the other 20% come from? That's a large sum of money. The next largest category of products that Amazon earns revenues from is something called Amazon Web Services, or AWS for short. Now, if you haven't heard of this, AWS provides cloud computing for some of the biggest businesses in the world. For example, anything you see on Facebook has been through Amazon's cloud computing servers. The same with Expedia, Citrix, and oh, by the way, Twitch, Spotify, Netflix, and Disney, and that means Disney Plus as well. But it's not just internet services. McDonald's, for example, Unilever, and even the US Department of State all rely on AWS for their back-end computing. These organizations all need to function at an even higher level now than they did before, and Amazon is the backbone that supports all of their efforts. AWS has grown the fastest, in fact, out of all of Amazon's business lines over the past few years, and it shows just how integrated our offline and online worlds are, both personally and professionally. I think what you'll see coming out of the coronavirus crisis is companies like Amazon gaining greater market power. Ultimately, it'll also change our view of what an e-commerce company should look like. If traditional retail hasn't adapted by now, this crisis will certainly force their hand. Now, this is a topic that I would love to speak with and discuss with my MBA students. But as all of you know, classroom instruction has ended at Columbia University, and that brings me to my second topic. What is it like as a professor at Columbia Business School using Zoom to conduct classes and meetings? It's not easy, but many of us have realized the advantages of interacting via a virtual interface. On the one hand, we as instructors have learned to institute certain norms that are quickly becoming pervasive. For example, making sure that students mute their microphones when they enter into a Zoom classroom, and also allowing 5 to 10 minutes of prep for technical difficulties before the class starts, and also setting ground rules and making clear what it means to raise your hand or to cold call from our end. All of this, as it turns out, is much easier to manage in a virtual environment. In short, we've learned to set expectations. But we also sorely miss seeing our students in person. There's so much that a Zoom classroom can do, but there's also a great deal that it can't replicate at all. But I think the most important missing feature is something that's called collective effervescence. This is a term that I'm not sure many people have ever heard of, but collective effervescence refers to something in sociology. In fact, it was coined by the father of sociology, Emil Durkheim, and this is what it means. Have you ever been to a football game and watched your team, say, score the winning touchdown? Have you ever been to a graduation ceremony and tossed your cap into the air? Have you ever been part of a protest march for something that you truly and strongly believe in? That feeling of group exaltation in those moments is collective effervescence. It's hard to describe, but it's intuitive to all of us. And it's something that you can only sense among a large group of people, a feeling of togetherness and unity, and also purpose. As faculty at CVS, we try to create moments of collective effervescence in the classroom through discussion. Students learn best when they trust one another, and seeing and being near each other is critical to this. We miss this. What this means for the future, though, is that even though many of us have realized the benefits of virtual teaching and virtual learning, I don't think it will replace physical teaching. It will cause a paradigm shift for sure, but more toward thinking about how we can make virtual and physical teaching complementary and also a necessity. My prediction is that all classes will likely head toward this hybrid model, where I hope we'll land on an equilibrium that'll have the best of both worlds. I hope everyone is safe and healthy. Stay physically distant, but socially close. Wash your hands, and we'll all get through this together. Thank you very much, and see you soon.